Post Sports Pulse, Trista Crick and USA Today Sports' Scott Gleason look ahead to Monday's national championship game and discuss if Michigan can shake down red-hot Villanova. USA Today Sports San Antonio, the respite can't last forever. In 3 weeks, April 25th to be exact, the seedy side of college basketball will once again be front and center when the Commission on College Basketball presents its recommendations on reforming the game. You might recall the commission, led by former Secretary of State and Stanford Provost Condoleezza Rice, was formed in the fallout of the FBI investigation that is alleged fraud at the very highest levels of college basketball. Change is coming, maybe. How, or if, it affects the NCAA basketball tournaments, remains to be seen. But for almost a month now, we've been able to push all that aside because of March Madness, which was even more gloriously mad than usual, this March. Whether it was a bracket-busting upset, a 98-year-old nun or a women's Final Four that will be talked about for decades, the NCAA tournaments treated us to a 3-week binder's worth of fun. Feel free to hang on to this and refer to it in the coming months, when college basketball will make you want to scream and shout for a very different reason. More, how Muffet McGraw's halftime adjustments led to Notre Dame's title. More, Villanova plays beautiful basketball, but it's not as easy as it looks. More, beat Villanova in Michigan, basketball players become legends. Some of course it was possible, theoretically, but no number 16 seed in the men's tournament had ever beaten the number 1 in 135 tries, and, let's be honest, no one really thought one actually would. Then came the Retrievers, the ultimate bracket buster. Not only did the 16 seed take down a number 1 seed, it took down the number 1 seed in Virginia. And it wasn't even close, with UMBC routing Virginia 74-54 for what is one of, if not the most, stunning result in college basketball history. Unbelievable, it's really all you can say, UMBC coach Ryan Odom said. Upsets galore. There were so many upsets in the first and second rounds of the men's tournament, that the South region had lost its top 4 seeds before the Sweet 16, a first in tournament history. It was only the 4th time since 1985 that only 2 number 1 seeds made the Sweet 16. 2 number 11 seeds made the Sweet 16 in both the men's and women's tournaments, and Loyola and Florida State both reached the Elite 8. Syracuse, the team almost everyone agreed didn't belong in the men's tournament, won 3 games before bowing out to Duke in the Sweet 16. Though Notre Dame was a No.1 seed in the women's tournament, its victory against UConn in the Final Four still qualifies as an upset. UConn had been unbeaten, and played with a crater-sized chip on its shoulder after last year's Final Four loss. But the Huskies' years of overwhelming dominance motivated other schools to step up their games, and we're now seeing the results. Loyola, Ramblers team chaplain Sister Jean at the Final Four before tip-off. Photo, Bob Donnan, USA Today Sports. Loyola and Sister Jean. Loyola was the feel-good story of the men's tournament. I mean, the Ramblers reached the Final Four in their first appearance since 1985 and had a 98-year-old known as their 6th man. You can't script stories any better than that. Though the Ramblers lost to Michigan in the Final Four, they showed they were every bit the equal of teams from the power programs. Which, hint, hint, should not go unnoticed by the selection committee, which is getting stingier and stingier with its bids for mid-majors. As for Sister Jean, we're all better for her brief time in the spotlight. She showed us that life can be done well at any age, and the genuine affection between the team chaplain and the Ramblers was a reminder of how much the elderly have to offer. In other words, if you haven't talked to your grandparents lately, give them a call. In pictures, Notre Dame vs Mississippi State buzzer beaters and unbelievable shots. No one is touching a right Colbendo Ale on this, not after she made buzzer-beating 3-pointers to send Notre Dame to the national title game and then give the Irish their first championship since 2001. But there were plenty of other late-game heroics, including Jordan Poole's 28-footer to beat Houston in the second round. Last-second daggers by Loyola's Dante Ingram, first round, Clayton Custer, second round, and Marks Towns, Sweet 16, and Dakota Mathias late 3 that allowed Purdue to hold off Butler. And then there was the one shot that didn't go in. Grayson Allen, Kev put Duke into the Final Four with a jumper at the end of regulation, only to see the ball crawl all the way around the rim and back, again before falling off. The game went to overtime, and Kansas pulled away for the win. Sportsmanship. It's not just the games we love, it's the displays of emotion they generate, whether it's the wild sprints around the court after a win or the soul-crushing dejection after a loss. They resonate with us in a way that celebrations in pro sports simply can't. And nothing symbolized it better than Michigan's Mo Wagner stopping to console Houston's Corey Davis Jr. Wagner was in the midst of the aforementioned post-victory bedlam when he spotted Davis sing along the sideline. Wagner came to a dead stop and put his arm around Davis's shoulder for a brief second. "It was a respect move for sure," Davis told Fox 26 Houston afterward. "I appreciate him for doing that, especially in that time. He stopped and came and talked to me and consoled me, and I appreciate that." The NCAA tournaments are the best thing going in college sports. Don't lose sight of that in the weeks to come. Contributing: Joe Fleming, Tom O'Toole, Josh Peter, Lindsey Schnell, George Schroeder, and Dan Woken. Follow USA Today sports columnist Nancy Armour on Twitter @Armour.